action. Let's store more ball, fewer infractions. This begins in 2020. The future is near. More access, more everyone, more everything.
February 13, 2019, show number 2.
Begun. This is the XFL.
What is up, my friends? Welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I am your host, The Mark. And on this week's show, we recap Bob Stoops' press conference as he is the new head coach of Dallas. XFL team name to be named later. News rumor about Pep Hamilton, reportedly a new head coach of the DC team. And the Jim Haslett rumor as well. That and so much more. Welcome back to the show, our second. And let me just say this, compared to a lot of other XFL podcasts, now we have double what they do, because I've looked for some good XFL podcasts. People do 1 or 2 episodes and then they're done. Me, on the other hand, and us, I'm just going to keep going. I will do this all the way until kickoff, and then into the first season, and then the second season, and then the third season, because this is fun. I love talking about it. Fans are so excited about this league. I hope you are. I am. That's why you're listening. So how do you get in touch with the show? You can email me, podcast@xflnewshub.com, with your MP3s or your thoughts, or on the Twitters, just use the hashtag XFLWIR. Cutoff time is 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Remember to leave us a review on iTunes, and we'll read it on the show. Yes, we're now on iTunes. We are everywhere where you could get podcasts. And with the MP3s, you record your phone call, your take on an MP3 on your computer or on your phone, then you send it to us. It's a lot of fun, and I hope that you guys will get out there and start doing that. If you know anything about that stuff, if you know about our other show, All Wrestling Week in Review, back in the day, it was a huge part of the show where people were producing their own 2-minute phone calls and sending them in. I mean, highly produced, very fancy stuff. So our goal is to get there too with you guys. So with that being said, without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL.
I am honored and proud to name Bob Stoops the XFL's first head coach and general manager here in Dallas. Bob.
Here you go, Oliver. I'm going to use my own, but thank you, Oliver, very much for your kind introduction, and thank all of you for being out here this afternoon at Globe Life Park. It's been 20 years and 3 months since I was last named a head football coach, so I'm not real used to this. But I got to admit, 38 years old then when I was introduced on the steps there at OU, I was a lot more nervous than I am now. So I didn't know what I was getting into then. Now I do. But anyway, I appreciate Oliver reaching out to me, Vince McMahon, and their vision for this league, for this program, and very much appreciate the opportunity to come here to a great football area, this North Dallas area, Dallas, Arlington, all the way up to Norman, Oklahoma. We consider this part of our territory as well. And just the appreciation to give me the opportunity. And at first, people wondered, at first, I thought, no, that probably wouldn't be for me. But then the more I started to analyze it and look at it, and Oliver's calling and visiting with my wife, Carol, who's here. Carol, would you put your hand up, please? I know I can't find her out there. She's right here in front of me. So through our discussions as a family, started to think this may really fit us correctly for a lot of reasons. And and my first was my confidence in Oliver Luck on up through to Vince McMahon, and these are accomplished men who have had success in everything that they've done for the most part. And just realize that these guys are going to do this the right way. I also looked at, here's an opportunity with the Dallas, again, community in Arlington here, playing in Arlington, and this whole area, football crazy fans that love the game and really believe, that it connected well with us just a few hours away up in Norman, Oklahoma, where we have 3 children in school at OU right now, and as everyone knows, I still have an attachment to the football program and the OU and Joe Castiglione, Coach Riley, and on and on. And so it's sort of blended that, hey, this isn't, this is for our family, and for that connection, this works pretty well. I was also excited about the opportunity of starting something from the ground floor. When I stepped away a couple years ago, one of my major reasons, and I made it very clear, is I wanted my own time. I wanted to be the boss of my own time and live that way. And as the old saying goes, be careful what you wish for. And all of a sudden I got to thinking after a couple of years, some days I've got too much time on my hands. So you start to look at what are your options, and then to start a program from the ground floor to hiring coaches. And then you've got to put together you got to accumulate your players, get your organization all set up. It reminds me a lot of when I first arrived at Oklahoma, having to put the staff together little by little, get it correct. And I thought it was one of the best things I ever did in my entire career was my very first staff at OU. And getting the right guys with me right from the start, and it jump-started us and gave us an opportunity in the second year to win a national championship. And that's what I'm hopeful for here, to jumpstart it by hiring the right guys here in time. It'll take a little bit of time, but being able to accumulate the right coaches in all areas, and look forward to working with them. But that's exciting to me, the opportunity to put it together and to help it grow. And the challenge to put a great product on the field. I really believe the quality of players will be you'll enjoy watching them compete. Even if it isn't the NFL level, there's still a lot of very good football players out there that may have been cut after 2-3 years, or just maybe made it to the last cut on an NFL roster, and all of a sudden they need a place to go. And these are guys that are going to be coming out of school that have played a lot of football, come out of college that have played ball, that are experienced in this game. And so I believe we'll be able to put a great, fun, exciting product out on the field. So I'm excited about that challenge to put that together, again, in this community right here. So for a lot of reasons, it just really fit. I think it's exciting to this time of year. It's different, and I believe there's enough crazy football fans out there that still want more football. And you give them a good product, they want to watch it, they want to go see it and participate in it, and believe this league here in the XFL and the exciting new, some of the methods that they want to implement with the faster clock, less downtime, and with commercials and things like that. I think the fans will appreciate it. And enjoy the different experience in watching the game, maybe in a little bit different way, but still watching true football that they're used to watching. So anyway, it's an exciting challenge, and I'm really looking forward to it. And again, appreciate our leadership here with Vince McMahon and Oliver Luck and everybody else. Been great and so well organized today for me. And I thank all of you here coming out to go Globe Life Park again, and look forward to being out here in a year's time. This is a great-looking stadium, and I'm excited to be here and be a part of this community. Thank you.
So there you have the first head coach announcement for the XFL. It was rumored last week. We talked about it last week. Then it came to fruition. So Bob Stoops, a.k.a. Robert Anthony Stoops, is now the head coach and general manager of the planned Dallas-based XFL team. If you don't know about him, he was head coach of the University of Oklahoma from 1999 until he announced his retirement June 7th, 2017. And during the 2000 season, Stoops led the Sooners to an Orange Bowl victory and a national championship. Now, this guy has been around the coaching reins for a long time. We have a full recap of who Bob Stoops is over at XFLnewshub.com. Prior to getting into the University of Oklahoma, Stoops held various coordinator and position coaches with Iowa, Kansas State, Florida. course, we know he led his team to 3 consecutive wins over top-tier teams, including Texas, Kansas State, and Nebraska. He was awarded the Paul Bear Bryant Award in 2000 and the Walter Camp Coach of the Year Award in 2000 and 2003. Stoops has been nicknamed Big Game Bob by both supporters and detractors. So now this is a big-time landing, a big-time coach, somebody who is well-known in the coaching ranks, who now you have name recognition to go with your coach. Now let's talk about the AAF coaches. I mean, we're talking Mike Martz, Dennis Erickson. Some of them left. Brad Childress was there, and then he left. This is a big hire. And compared him to the coaches in the AAF, he's a big get. So this adds legitimacy, as you'll see from a reaction from you guys, we'll get into later, that the XFL is making inroads and it's on its way. Bruce Feldman is reporting that Pep Hamilton has reportedly left Michigan football's coaching staff earlier last week as the assistant head coach of the Wolverines and is back in the world of professional football just after a couple days. Per report by The Athletic, Bruce Feldman, he says Hamilton will reportedly become the new head coach / general manager of the XFL Washington, D.C. franchise. He says, source, per Hamilton, who resigned last Monday to pursue other opportunities, expected to become the new head coach and GM of the XFL's new Washington, D.C. franchise. Word is he's been working on getting a staff together in the past week or so. Hamilton left his position as the head coach / passing game coordinator after 2 seasons in Ann Arbor, working closely with Jim Harbaugh, who lost to John Harbaugh and the Super Bowl Gold Ravens. With the passing game and offense overall, Harbaugh hired John Gaddis from Alabama last month to be Michigan's new offensive coordinator and play caller. Ben McDaniels has since been named Michigan's quarterback coach, replacing Hamilton. Some background on him. Hamilton originally agreed to a 4-year deal with an annual salary of $1 million for the first 3 years and $1.25 million for the 4th year. He received a $150,000 signing bonus in early 2017 and received $450,000 retention bonus in 2018. He was scheduled to make $1 million with another $250,000 in retention money through the 2019 season before making $1.25 million in 2020. It is unclear what Hamilton's financial settlement agreement with Michigan is at this time. So he's leaving. So supposedly coaches will get $500,000, which still $500 million. It's a lot of money. For Hamilton, it will be a return to professional football after 2 years away from the NFL. He came to Michigan in 2017, replacing Jed Fish, after spending a season as the assistant head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Prior to that, Hamilton was the offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts from 2013 to 2015. Hamilton previously worked with Harbaugh and quarterback, get this, Andrew Luck at Stanford in 2010. Luck's father, of course, Oliver Luck, is the current commissioner and CFO of the XFL. Hamilton has also had experience in the NFL as an assistant coach for the New York Jets, the Bears, and San Francisco 49ers. Hamilton has ties to the Washington, D.C. area too, having graduated from Howard University, the same place he got his start as a football coach. So with Hamilton joining the XFL as one of the league's head coaches, it is not a bad lineup to start your league with, especially considering the pedigree Hamilton has. The XFL has a long way to go before reaching the elite level, but between him and Bob Stoops, now you're kind of seeing what's going on with the XFL. They're hiring a legendary coach like Bob Stoops, bringing in a young up-and-comer like Pep Hamilton. Who else is to come? And this guy is losing money, essentially, to come to the XFL. And, of course, you see the tree of Oliver Luck and the connection to Pep Hamilton. Now you see why. And as, of course, an XFL DC team fan, which I don't know what the name is, please make it be cooler than anything the AAF has. I am definitely excited about this hire. Another guy breaking some news, Benjamin Albright, that the XFL could be verge on hiring another major name from the world of football. Albright called Pep Hamilton in DC and says there's a rumor about Jim Haslett as well. So Haslett attended the Indiana University of Pennsylvania and was selected in the second round of the 1979 NFL Draft by the Buffalo Bills. He was a linebacker for the Bills until 1985 and played with the New York Jets in 87. He was named the Defensive Rookie of the Year in 79. And in a 2005 article in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Haslett admitted to using steroids while playing with the Buffalo Bills. That's interesting. He went on record to say everybody tried it to gain a competitive advantage. Of course, he landed a big bunch of different coaching things. The most where he's known for is the New Orleans Saints. He guided the Saints to a 10-6 regular season record, their second NFC West Division champion, and first playoff victory in franchise history, defeating the St. Louis Rams. They would eventually lose to the Minnesota Vikings the next week. As a result of the Saints' turnaround from the previous 3-13 season under Mike Ditka, Haslett was named NFL Coach of the Year, but things came crashing down. He went 3-13, and then they had the whole Hurricane Katrina thing. And then he kind of bounced around. Haslett became the St. Louis Rams defensive coordinator in the 2006 season. In 2008, he was named the interim head coach of the Rams after Scott Linehan was fired. The Rams would then give Haslett an interim coach's contract, making him the permanent head coach. Within weeks of this clause was nullified by the NFL because it violated the Rooney Rule. In 2009, the Rams would then announce Haslett was no longer in consideration for the permanent coaching job. He would coach the Florida Tuskers in the United Football League during its inaugural season in 2009, so he's got experience in this. Team went 6-0, but would eventually get an upset loss to the first ever UFL championship game by the Las Vegas Locomotives. He won UFL Coach of the Year, and then Haslett was then hired by the Washington Redskins as defensive coordinator in 2010 under Mike Shanahan. Last couple of years, had some bad seasons, went on in 2014. The Redskins announced that Haslett would leave by mutual agreement. 2016, he was hired as linebacker coaches from the Cincinnati Bengals. And then, of course, after this 2018 season, the Bengals fired Haslett along with head coach Marvin Lewis. So now you have Bob Stoops, Pep Hamilton, and Jim Haslett. Now, where does Jim Haslett go? Again, a guy who has won. What really intrigues me about him is the Florida Tuskers of the United Football League, that he has experience doing this type of work. I think it's another great hire by Oliver Luck, getting some name coaches and some young guys. That is what you need to do to generate interest, and it certainly has. So we'll be back with your social media stuff and a little bit more right after this. Stay tuned. There is only one place that you can get all your XFL news. That is XFLnewshub.com. We go all the way back from the beginning of time for the XFL all the way up to today's stuff, where you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. All those locations to get all your XFL news. We are your number one source of XFL football news from now all the way until February 2020 kickoff. So stick with XFLnewshub.com for all your latest information. Follow us on all the social medias. That's XFLnewshub.com. Remember it. Write it down. XFLnewshub.com. All right, we are back. And one of the things I wanted to go over is Oliver, this XFL league is really interesting, and I feel like the AAF is not off to a great start, kind of what people have been saying. But it's really a battle of Oliver Luck versus Charlie Ebersole. Like, who holds the future of spring football? Now, this is something that you can take and see what you think about who do you think is winning, because you got to really look at any good organization. In my opinion, starts at the top. Vince was successful in the WWE, though I think his time has passed. If you're a wrestling fan, you know what I'm talking about. Going into WrestleMania, things are really weak, and they just keep a very fixed mindset over there. They may be a little ego-driven. But I think when Vince started doing the XFL again, he knew he couldn't do it, so he hired Oliver Luck. And as long as Oliver is in charge, just like Ozzie Newsome in charge of the Baltimore Ravens, things in Oliver we trust. And then you have Charlie Ebersole. So really, these guys' backgrounds could play a factor in how the league does. Now, let's take a look at who is Oliver Luck. So it's Oliver Francis Luck. We know who he is, CEO and commissioner of the XFL. Prior to that, he was director of intercollegiate athletics at West Virginia University, his alma mater, and an executive with the NCAA, in charge of the organization's regulatory functions. Luck is also a retired football player who spent 5 seasons in the NFL as quarterback for the Houston Oilers in 82 to 86. He was also the first president and general manager of the Houston Dynamo of the MLS. Under his watch, the Dynamo won an MLS Cup in 06 and 07. Luck is married to Kathy Wilson, whom he has 4 children, Andrew, the quarterback, Mary Ellen, Emily, and Addison. 2 oldest are both graduates of Stanford, where Andrew played football and Mary Ellen played volleyball. When Luck's NCAA employment was announced, Emily was attending Stanford and Addison was attending Morgantown High School. Andrew played quarterback at Stanford and was selected number 1. He plays with the Colts in the 2012 draft. He's been there ever since. That's his background. And that's why he is the XFL commissioner. He reportedly received $20 million guaranteed in a multi-year deal, according to the Sports Business Journal. The deal could end up being worth $30 million, depending on how well Vince McMahon's football league performs. Oliver Luck's net worth, as of the writing, was somewhere in the range of $9 million, based on his jobs and everything. So you see, this guy has a background in the NFL, NCAA, football, even doing stuff in the MLS. This guy has been successful at what he does. Now, let's take another look at who is Charlie Ebersole, who is also going to be in charge of a football league. Charlie Duncan Ebersole is the co-founder and CEO of the Alliance of American Football, terrible name, and we all know who they is, which they just started playing. He was born in Connecticut in 1982. He's the son of actress Susan St. James. You might know her from the 80s. She was an actress in there. I forget the show she was on. And senior television executive and co-founder of the original XFL, Dick Ebersole. Charlie is also best known as the co-founder of the company with Justin Hochberg, executive producer of USA Network's NFL Characters Unite, and co-producer of The Prophet on CNBC, shows that I've never really heard of before. In 2012, Ebersole was named by Hollywood Reporter as one of reality television's 50 most powerful producers. While studying at Notre Dame, Ebersole created his first documentary entitled, I don't even know how to pronounce that, Never Stop Learning, in 2006. The movie received critical acclaim, winning the Toronto International Film Festival's first 1X1 award, and inspired Oprah Winfrey to donate $1.14 to the Ah Tong Trust School. Ebersole also produced the documentaries Don't Look Down, about the life of Olympian Shaun White after he won Olympic gold in 2006, and Tradition Never Graduates, a film about Notre Dame football. Okay, there's our first little football reference. And he went to Notre Dame, which is a football school. In 2009, Ebersole formed and sold St. James Films, after his mom, and also co-created and executive produced at NBC's The Wanted, a primetime show in which Ebersole and producing partner Adam Kraleski led a team of former Navy SEALs, a former UN ambassador, and former Lieutenant Green Beret around the world in search of the most wanted terrorists and war criminals. Never heard of that one. In 2011, Charlie co-founded the Hochberg Ebersole V Company. Ooh. Early projects included TNT's The Great Escape, executive produced with Bertram Van Muster, Ron Howard, and Brian Grazer. History's Off the Grid, $1 Million Manhunt. Ebersole created USA Network's The Moment in 2013, a show hosted by Kurt Warner, by giving Americans a second chance to achieve their dreams. Reality TV guy. Now, what's interesting, and I didn't know about this, about Ebersole was inspired to create the show after receiving his own second chance in life after surviving a plane crash in 2004. Charlie's father, Dick, survived, but his younger brother, Teddy, along with the pilot and flight attendant on board, were killed. Ebersole is also, we talked about the Characters Unite, and his production company. So that was a crazy, when I read that, I was like, whoa. Now, Ebersole also directed, This Was the XFL, a documentary in the 30 for 30 series about the XFL. He was chosen by ESPN to direct the documentary because of his father's co-founding of the league and his long-term friendship between Ebersole and Vince McMahon as the centerpiece of the film. Now, in March of 2018, so that was a year ago and a month, Ebersole announced the creation of a new professional football league called the Alliance of American Football, which is kind of around when Vince did. The announcement was made at a press event in the Park Hyatt in Manhattan and was streamed live on Facebook. Ebersole co-founded the league, which started playing with Bill Polian, Hall of Famer. Ebersole's father, of course, we know about the XFL, created Sunday Night Football. Again, not that that's like a genius thing to put football on a Sunday night. The league is backed by investors such as Peter Thiel's Founders Fund, former Jared Allen, Mike Singletary, Steve Spurrier is involved, and some others like Justin Tuck, Heinz Ward, Troy Polamalu. And you have the two leagues. So, given that background of who these guys are, and you are starting a football league, who are you going to pick to run your new football league? A dude who played the NFL, had success leading a sports franchise that has nothing to do with football. Well, technically, they use your foot. Okay, we got that part. That you use your foot in soccer, and in other countries, they call it football. I get it. Charge of the NCAA. Wins a championship. Son is a potential Hall of Famer. You could throw Andrew Luck, potentially. He's not done yet, but I don't see why he wouldn't be in that realm. He could. He needs to win some playoff games. Guy has the pedigree. Or reality television's 50 most powerful producers. Yes, I like his person who he's got on in his league, Bill Polian. I think that was a great hire by him to do it. But if you're going to go, who would you go? Leave us a comment, podcast@allwrestling.com. I mean, honestly, who would you pick? Oliver Luck or Charlie Ebersole? You're going Oliver Luck all the way. And that's why I am all in for the XFL and not for the AAF, which is, that name stinks. The names of the team stinks. Who would you put your money on? Now on to the social media stuff. First up, we got, we'll hit the Twitters first. @Coach Kills Donk says, how about Mike McCarthy? And one of the questions we asked, who else could be a head coach in the XFL? That was our question last week. Who else will be a head coach who could be an XFL coach? Coach Killsdonk says Mike McCarthy coaching the XFL. That would be a monster pick. Do you think they reached out to him? I mean, Mike McCarthy could pretty much coach anywhere. The NFL season is over. I've yet to hear his name anywhere. You have draft. You have other things that come up. Is he going to take a little time off and then come back in? But Mike McCarthy would be a huge, huge get for the XFL. Next up, we have Josh McGuire 21. When we were talking about the XFL negotiating with Fox and ESPN, he said, what about TV deals in the UK? I'm guessing if they do one, it'll be with Sky Sports, with the XFL and WWE both owned by Vince McMahon. I would assume that. I have yet to hear about international TV rights, but that's another way to make money. I don't even think I've heard AAF mention anything about anything international. The thing is, I don't know. For my international homies, podcast@xflnewshub.com. Let me know do you think there's enough interest for fans around the world to be interested in the XFL? You all got your other football, soccer deal. And I know there's WWE fans that are interested in seeing this successful. Could being in the UK help? I mean, remember they did NFL Europe for a little while. That kind of didn't go anywhere, even though I thought it was somewhat of a good idea. Thanks for the message. We also had, for our question of the week, we asked on the Facebooks, who else could be head coach in the XFL? Dan wrote in and said Rex Ryan in St. Louis. That's an interesting one, even though I think he's got a nice, sweet TV deal. Joe says Vance Joseph and Mike Smith. Mike Smith, he hasn't been around. Brandon has the best one of them all. He says Vince Lombardi. That's right, Brandon checks in. Who else will be a XFL head coach? Vince Lombardi. Maybe if they have their DNA and there's some creepy Frankenstein deal going on, maybe Vince Lombardi could potentially be there. Danny also checked in Jim Mora Jr. That's another good one. You guys are good at this, man. I like your picks of potential XFL coaches. On to some of our other posts. XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck on how hands-on Vince McMahon will be with the league. Bobby says, hope Vince lets the coaches all do their jobs and he doesn't act like Jerry Jones. Totally agree. And the way things are playing out so far, Vince has been mostly hands-off. He's the money guy. He even said it early on that he is hands-off and Oliver Luck is in charge. He learned his lesson from last time, and he just wants a football league. And he guaranteed Oliver Luck money. You're paying a dude $20 million guaranteed. If this guy is like, dude, he has all the leverage. Like, you're paying me $20 million and I don't want you involved. Like, let me do my job. You want me to quit and walk away and keep that $20 million? No. So Vince put it in right, and I hope he doesn't interfere. Like, he let XFL or NXT grow, and it has grown to be successful. Vince needs to focus on, and I think he's doing this for the first time, maybe the second time in his career, about letting Triple H I'm going back to WWE talk, being in charge of of NXT, and that really grew. And I wonder if he learned from that. And he said, you know what? Let me just I'm the money guy. Let me put the right people in place, and that they can. This is what I'm good at. Well, I used to be good at WWE stuff. Let me get the right guys. And you've seen it. You've seen it with the moves so far. Everything that the XFL is doing, I'm like, this is great. Finally, about the Bob Stoops hire on Instagram. Kyle for Real says, love the big name hire, showing that we are taking the league seriously. Absolutely. Bob Stoops brings legitimacy. Would you, I mean, I don't know who else they're coming in. We're talking like fans are saying Mike McCarthy, Pep Hamilton, but would you put out that XFL Dallas is the lead franchise that seems to will do pretty well based on the coaches? And if you look like, especially if you played fantasy football in the past, you look at where the coordinators go, because the coordinator, you'd be like, man, this guy's blowing up this year. And then all of a sudden it's North Turner as the coordinator. It's like, well, okay, that makes sense now. So coaching has a huge, especially if the talent pool is not as on the elite level of the NFL. Now, some fan reaction to Bob Stoops on the Facebooks. Mike says this is more of a question. When will the teams get names, or when will we just call them Dallas, Tampa Bay, etc.? Jake says that's my question. There will be team names. There's no question. You can't sell merch for XFL Dallas. You can, but if it's Dallas, whatever, Cowboys, you selling merch. There will be names. I think they're going to get the coaches in first. Then we're going names, and then we're going quarterbacks. That's just my take. Dan says, Bob Stoop, what a class act. This is a great start for the XFL. James, more like XFL. Yeah, I'm pumped to watch the new league. This is the best timing. NFL fans are jumping ship. If they keep getting coaches like this, maybe we'll see an expansion to 16. Louisville will be a great spot. Louisville Redbirds, baby. Interesting. Brian, now it's getting serious. When the hairs on the back of your neck stick up, can't wait for the XFL to start. I'm with you there. John, hiring Stoops shows that the new XFL is committed to excellence. I'm in. Can't wait. Philip, I'm rooting for the y'all XFL. I've had enough of the NFL and looking forward to something fresh. Brian says Dallas Sheriffs. Interesting. Austin, bring it on. Bobby, watch STL get Jeff Fisher. Interesting pick. Elliot says, I'm ready. So there you go. Fans are excited about the new XFL and the movement, where they're going with this thing. So that's it for this week's show. Just stay tuned to XFL News Hub with all the breaking news. For the question of the week, since I've been bashing AAF and their names, I want to hear, you guys have had some great coaching names. What are some team name ideas for the XFL? Give us the location and name. So you got Washington, D.C. Senators. You have Dallas Rough Riders. I don't know. New York Hitmen. That was kind of funny. That was kind of funny. A little take on the Mafia. So what are some team name ideas for the XFL? Give us location and names. That is the question of the week. Would love to hear your thoughts and other fans' thoughts too. Now, remember, if you want to be part of the show, you can email us, podcast@xflnewshub.com. You can shoot us a message there, or you can create your own MP3, send that over as well with some of your team name ideas, because this really means something. Like if they knock it out of the park, which I feel like they did in the past, with a good team that I can rep in DC and that other fans can rep around the country, it is important to have a good team name. So email us, podcast@xflnewshub.com. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, which actually is starting to grow. We'd like to thank all of our new fans from YouTube. Just search up XFL News Hub. You'll find us there. Remember, leave us a review on iTunes. We'll read it on the show, and you can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Stitcher. We're on all of that place. So remember, what are some team name ideas for the XFL? Give us location and name. Can't wait to hear about it next week. Stay tuned to XFL News Hub for more breaking news. I have a feeling we'll hear about this Pep Hamilton soon. And thanks for listening. God bless you all, and I will see you all later.